A few days ago, at least as of recording this, they actually added the Superman powers into Fortnite, and they unlocked the Superman Pass and all that stuff, where essentially what you do is you go to this item called Superman's Call that appears sometimes in a match. You gain Kryptonian powers from getting that, and then you can fly around and you're kind of like a boss. You're basically like a boss who fights the other players. Now, here's the thing. Superman has been in this game before. It's not new, like Superman being in it. There was a skin before, there was costumes before, but this is actually based off of the newer movie from 2025, which, again, as of recording this, just recently came out. If you watch this in the future, I'm sure that the movie is old. That is how things work, but I always get comments like that, like, it didn't just come out, and then someone watching it 5 years later. But I think as of right now, today, this was something really fun for me, but also something that was infuriating. I think that Fortnite is a very fun game, a lot of times, and I even have a Fortnite code. DJAY123 helps me out a lot. YouTube does not push this channel, so when you guys use that, super helpful. But also, this event has been really frustrating to me because I cannot stand the RNG random FOMO event type thing where they're like, hey, we spawned this one little item. Sometimes it spawns, sometimes it doesn't. You can get there, but somebody else got there a millisecond before you. Now you have to go the whole match and you can't use it. This is the same thing they did in the Godzilla event. And it's fun if you can get it, but it's really frustrating. I had more than a handful of matches where I could not get this no matter how much I tried. I had to put the video off like 2 or 3 days just because no one would back off on the item. So we're going to talk about this whole thing for a couple minutes today. There are some other fun things they added in. However, I do have a question for you. What superhero would you want to see represented in this game? Maybe in a different way. Like maybe there's a costume you want for Batman. Maybe there's a version you want of a character that isn't in the game. Maybe there's a superhero you haven't even seen in the game. Whether it be an event, costume, whatever. What would you want to see added and how? How would you want to see that done? For me, looking at this, being able to walk into the Fortress of Solitude, straight out of the film, straight out of the 2025 film, it's really fun. You know, and being able to go up and talk to David's Superman, like right there, with his likeness and everything. Very neat. I like it a lot. And it ties into the lore of what's going on the Fortnite Island, which I know probably 80 to 90% of the people playing do not care about that at all. But it's still neat that it ties into it. You know, you find the Fortress of Solitude, it's kind of hidden away in one corner of the map. Looks very similar to the way it did in the film. Very much like an ice castle. You can walk in, talk to Superman. You know, you can find some items in there. Is it a super in-depth thing? No. I mean, this is not as in-depth as something like Doom's Castle. And that's something where I think there was a bit of a missed opportunity. I'm of a mixed opinion on this. You know, I really like seeing things like this. Like, how many video games can you walk into the Fortress of Solitude in? Not that many, right? So to see that kind of thing come to life in an interactive experience is fun. But I also noticed that there was very little effort put into that compared to something like the Marvel mini season that was done a while back, you know, where you had Doom's Castle and all this stuff tying into Latveria, and you had all of these different Easter eggs, things from like Doctor Strange all the way down to the Fantastic Four. That was very, very cool. But with this, we get one area. It's just the Fortress of Solitude. It's pretty small. A couple little nooks and crannies, but that's about it. Some stuff on top if you land up there. And not much else. The Superman mini pass does have some really cool stuff, like having, you know, the actual David version of this character, you know, actually the one from 2025, his likeness and everything. That's neat, being able to play as that. There's a pen and ink one, which it evokes more of like a classic Superman style from all the way back in the comic books. Again, very, very cool. I love that stuff, and I like the emotes, the capes, everything that comes with that. But I think for locations, it's really meh. If you can get Superman's powers, awesome. You're tearing around the map, you've got your heat vision, You know, you've got the ability to do basically like a supersonic punch, whether you're flying and you can do it kind of downward, or if you're on the ground, you can do it and it has a little bit of distance. That stuff is so fun. Playing as Superman in this, like actually having that Kryptonian form where you get it, again, it's like, it pissed me off to no end how many matches I had to do, how long I had to put this video off in order to just even get a shot at playing as the character. That to me, again, is something that is done way worse than like that Marvel season, you know, where it was like, oh, I could, you know, go find Doom's weapons, or oh, I could go beat this little mini boss and get something. I could go fight Mysterio. I could go find War Machine's items. I could go find these Stark drop pods back in that season, and I could get Iron Man's tools. You know, I could get his equipment. That kind of stuff, I felt like it was so organic. And with this, I don't know. You know, it's like, I wanted to make the video because I think it's fun. You know, I think that the way that they implemented the skin is cool. I think it's very much like a cartoonized version of the actor actually in the suit from the film, and that looks great. The details on it are stunning, very, very cool. And again, I hope they do more like this. I'd love to see this with Supergirl. I'd love to see this with whatever the DCU Batman ends up being. That'd be sick. But I don't know. I look at this and I think, yeah, we got that kind of comic design, we got the movie design, we got the fortress, that's cool, and these powers are fun if you can get them, which you'll struggle to do. But I find myself wishing there was something like Metropolis in here, you know, or the Daily Planet, Luthor Corp, you know, anything like that. I did forget to mention one thing which was really, really cool to me, which is that you can find these Krypto treats, throw them down, and then Krypto slams down the dog, comes like basically out of the atmosphere. You hear the whistle, slams down, he'll hit some, you know, he'll hit wherever he lands. He won't really attack anyone. He'll just hit them if you manage to land it on them. That's fun. I really only ever got one elimination with that, but it is a very, very cool little item. Love that kind of thing. I think that kind of attention to detail with the suit and the fortress, it's fun, but I really do feel like there were missed opportunities to not add in more. And I'm kind of surprised because, you know, DC has been noticeably absent for a long time from Fortnite. Obviously, they were really, really putting their money down on their own stuff, like they did Multiverses. That failed. You know, they tried to do a bunch of mobile games to varying success. And I think that they saw somehow Fortnite as a competitor instead of as a tool to actually promote their stuff. And on that hand, again, it's like I'm torn. I'm glad that they're back. I'm glad they're doing something with it. To see Superman out here doing stuff, fun. But maybe crank up the effort a little bit on the collaboration with DC, because it's like, they certainly could have done more. I don't know, that's just kind of my thoughts. They could have done a lot more on it. Still cool. I like it. I'm going to fondly look back at this, you know, even if I only got this power once or twice, I'm going to save the footage of it myself. I'm going to look back on it. I'm going to say, oh, wow, that was cool. That was fun. I like that. But I don't think it's going to be something lasting and special. Very, very neat. If you actually get to play as the character, insane. I feel like you're so OP and you just tear through people. There's a lot of really cool stuff you can do with the character here. I just think that DC does need better collaborations in the future. It should not feel low budget or small. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Still awesome. Still enjoyed it. If you want to support this channel, use Fortnite code DJAY123. Helps us out a ton. You put that in on the store before you buy something on Fortnite. That helps a lot. If you do it after, it doesn't do anything. So if you lock that in before, we really do appreciate that. Appreciate those of you who have told us you've used it. They've been adding back in a lot of DC skins, so hopefully there's something in there that you'll find interesting. Also, as well, we do have our own store, CosmoBunny.shop, where we sell coasters, keychains, trays, and more from recycled paper. These are from comics, manga, magazines, and other books that have been damaged. They can't be sold, at least at full price. Sometimes they can't be sold at all. And what we do is we take these from local businesses around us, we turn them transformatively into a new media by using that paper, putting in a new medium, things like that. Then we actually recycle the rest to make sure it does not end up in landfills. Discount code DJAY123 gets you 10% off your first purchase on that store. And also as well, we have handmade resin and beaded jewelry that my wife Jill makes over there, which is absolutely fantastic and, dare I say, quite super. Hope you have a fantastic day, and as always everyone, stay shui.